This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
Now, part two of that, Phil, of that debate prep, it's going to be actually putting that into action with these mock debates. This is going to include a 90-minute formal debate where the president is standing up on his feet the entire time, trying to mirror what he's going to have to do in real time next week.
As you know, it's been reported that right now Crooked Joe's gone to a log cabin to study, prepare. No, he didn't. He's sleeping now, because they want to get him good and strong, so a little before debate time he gets a shot in the ass, and they want to strengthen him up. So he comes out, he'll come out, I say he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up.
No doubt about it. Of course, Dementia Joe will be all jacked up. There's no other way that he can stand on a stage for 90 minutes and go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump in a real debate. Who do you know that needs practice standing? Are you serious? Practicing to stand? That's insane. That's the leader of our country. That's the president of America. And you're telling me he needs a week to prepare to stand and a week to prepare for questions about his policy and his performance as president. Think about this for a second. This man has been president of the United States for 3.5 years, and he needs a week to prepare to talk to America about what he's been doing during his 3.5 years. If you were actually the president and you've been running the country and participating in running the country and developing policy for 3.5 years, would you need a week to prepare for questions on the policies that you've enacted? If you've believed in what you've actually done and had a part in what was actually done, you would need a week to prepare for questions. That's why I think this entire debate is a charade. This debate may indeed be a trap. It's obviously the royal scam. If you're my age or a music aficionado, you might get that Steely Dan reference. But trust me, what you're about to see on Thursday night will indeed be the royal scam personified. Listen again to what Van Jones said.
This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a...
He's right. The entire world will indeed be watching. So there's a huge audience. So you have to think to yourself, why is this actually happening?
Carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over.
Who told him to say that? If Biden messes up, it's game over. Okay, hold on to that.
If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
Scam. Setup. They already know that he's going to be able to stand on the stage for 90 minutes, and they already know he's going to be able to answer the questions that are softball given to him by Dana Bash and Jake Tapper. They also know that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are going to control Trump. So the entire setup is, hey, if something happened, it would be the end of Joe Biden. Okay, so that's not going to happen. On the other hand, if he ends up staying on stage and able to go toe-to-toe with this runaway train, he is indeed the president. You see how they set that up, how they teed that up perfectly? hey guys, yeah, we know if he doesn't do well, we're going to have to find somebody else. But if he does, if he's able to stand up there for 90 minutes and go toe-to-toe with the big monster, if he's going to go toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson and he can stand in there, he's going to be the president. That, to me, is the royal scam. Just something about the way he talked just seemed ultra fake to me. Remember, he's talking on CNN. He's talking as a host of CNN. What does he know? What does he know about this debate that we don't know? And you have to understand every single word of what gets spoken on CNN is complete astroturf. They would not have put this guy on television if he was going to trash Dementia Joe. They understand that Van Jones is a Democrat operative. He worked with the Obama administration. There's no way this guy would get up on national television just a couple days prior to the debate and trash Dementia Joe. It wouldn't have happened. He, like many of the people on CNN, have obviously been fed some info. Listen to some other media outlets telling you what they've been fed.
What are you hearing from your sources, Ouija, about how the president's going to frame this 90 minutes in terms of theme, issues he's focusing on?
What have you heard from your sources? The only source she could possibly have is coming from the White House. So everything she's about to say is coming specifically from the White House. She is going to deliver a message that they want put out there. Remember that.
Well, Robert, the White House would argue that President Biden prepares every single day for this debate because he is president and he takes questions all the time, although
he prepares every day because he takes questions all the time. She just said that. When's the last time Dementia Joe has taken questions, not pre-scripted questions? When has he taken questions he didn't know about? I'll wait. Tell me. Doesn't happen. This is entirely a script. This is a show. She is saying what they want her to say to try and influence people. He doesn't take questions from the press open-handedly. He knows exactly who he's going to call on. He knows what the questions are. It's all choreographed. And she just got out there with her talking points. Hey, he does it all the time.
of course, reporters would like him to do so much more often. But this is going to be a robust preparation led by his former chief of staff, Ron Klain, who has also been his right-hand man for much of his career. And
a robust preparation. Why would you need a robust preparation? I want you guys to think for something. Think about if you're a football coach, if you're a basketball coach, if you're a teacher, even with a lesson plan. You're a band. You're going on stage. You've been doing this for years. I don't need to prep. I prep before I go on tour. I prep when before the game. I have some practice where I run through some things, but I know my offense. I know what I'm going to do. I've watched the film. I know what we're going to do this weekend. I don't have to go into a bunker and prepare for a week to understand how could I tell people what it is that I do.
Know that his closest advisors will be huddled with him at Camp David to prepare for this debate. I am told that Cedric Richmond will be there, the current chief of staff, Jeff Zients. We know that Bruce Reed, another trusted advisor, is already with him in Delaware. And so they are...
Notice who she didn't mention. She didn't mention any of the people in his actual cabinet. Not the Treasury Secretary, not the Defense Secretary. So they're not talking about policy. They're not talking about what, Janet Yellen is doing with the Treasury. They're talking about positioning, the staging. This Spielberg-esque type of debate. It's all about optics.
Going to be mapping out everything that they want to get across as they face Donald Trump. And when it comes to messaging, Robert, I'm told we shouldn't be that surprised because they've really been fine-tuning all the things that they believe they have going that Donald Trump doesn't.
What are they? You wouldn't need a week. Think about that as well. You wouldn't need a week. If you have been doing all these things that Donald Trump hasn't been doing, why would you need a week to prepare? It'd be very simple. I did this, Donald Trump didn't do it. I did this, Donald Trump didn't do it. I did that, Donald Trump couldn't get it done. Why would you need a week to prepare for that? On the other hand, Donald Trump's prep is easy. Gas prices were lower, grocery prices were lower, we didn't have all these newcomers coming into the country. You could afford rent, interest rates. I could do Donald Trump's debate prep. It's right there in front of you. The contrast couldn't be bigger. You can actually see it. You live it. So what exactly are they prepping for? That makes no sense.
when it comes to fighting for reproductive rights. They argue.
What number is that down on the list? Is that what they're going to lead with? Is that what Dana Bash and Jake Tapper are going to talk about? Reproductive rights, the ability to remove babies? That you think that's going to move the needle for you? Okay, good luck. What else you got?
When it comes to the economy and building more jobs.
Really? Are you really going to go there? Because if you're going to tee up the economy, Donald Trump is going to smash you. As soon as you say more jobs, and he's going to say easily, that's because you're getting all these newcomers into these jobs. These aren't Americans taking these jobs. Here, I have a study. I read this study from your own Labor Department that said all of the jobs that are being taken are going to the newcomers. Do they not realize that? Or is Jake Tapper and Dana Bash going to make sure you don't hear that statistic?
It comes to issues of democracy having to do with January 6th. And so
good luck with that. You're going to beat that dead horse again? You're going to talk about him being a dictator and democracy? You know what? When bands go on tour and when teams play, when certain plays don't work, you take them out the playbook. You take those off your song list. Hey, the crowd didn't seem to react to this song, so we're not going to play it anymore. Hey, the defense seemed to understand how to beat us on that play. We're not going to play it anymore. Meanwhile, Dementia Joe are like, hey, we're going to talk about January 6th again, as if that matters to anybody. To anybody. It's a losing play. It's a song nobody wants to hear anymore. But they're going to keep pushing it out there. Why? Because you got nothing else to talk about.
we should expect some of that, but I'm also told that we should expect some surprises as well, because this is such a critical performance.
What kind of surprise? When she said that, and I heard it, and I talked about it on one of my live shows, when she said we can expect a surprise, what kind of surprise? You've had 3.5 years to do surprises, and every surprise that you've done at this point has been bad for America. Executive order to let more newcomers in, putting Trump through trials. What kind of surprise can we expect after 3.5 years if nothing you've done has helped ordinary Americans? If you haven't done crap for ordinary Americans for 3.5 years, what the hell are you going to surprise us with? And why would you need to surprise it? Just friggin' do it. So that just completely made no sense to me. Unless you're talking about, I'm going to be able to stand for 90 minutes. That's a surprise.
For President Biden, not only on the content, but on his physical performance as well.
So it is about standing and being jacked up on Mountain Dew. That's what he's going to be. That's what they're talking about. It's going to shock you. It's not going to be the normal Joe that you always are used to seeing. This is going to be a different Joe, and you have to fall for it. You don't have to worry about what your eyes have seen and your ears have heard over the last 1.5 years as you watch this man decline, because what you're going to see Thursday is a surprise. Thank you. Thank you very much. You just gave away the entire tactic. You are going to surprise us by showing us this guy who all of a sudden has great virality. He's just out there, vitality, and he's now out there just showing you he's ready. He's ready to take on the world. Monday comes around and the drugs wear off and he's back to blah, 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 blah. You think we're going to forget? You think that we haven't seen it? Oh, that's right. They're all cheap fakes.
Robert?
Yeah, Phil. Well, the president, he is hunkering down in Camp David with his closest team of advisors. And a source close to that team tells me that the president's debate prep is really taking place in two main parts. So part one is going to be pouring through all of this source material, trying to refine and hone in on his talking points, figure out what sound bites he wants to get across on that debate stage.
Sound bites? You think the American people care about sound bites? This entire administration is a farce. They think getting up there and doing a comedic routine with sound bites and jabs at Trump is going to show the American people that he should still be president. How obtuse can these people be, or do they just not care?
Figure out different ways to hold Trump accountable for his track record and inflammatory remarks that he's made.
Oh, so his track record, cheaper gas prices, lower interest rates, you're going to keep him accountable for that? Good luck with that. And his remarks that he's made, so you're going to come up with all these hoax things again. He calls soldiers bad names, and, there's very fine people on both sides. So what you're saying is your debate strategy is to deflect from everything that you screwed up America with. That's what you're telling us is coming.
Now, part two of that, Phil, Phil, of that debate prep. It's going to be actually putting that into action with these mock debates. This is going to include a 90-minute formal debate where the president is standing up on his feet the entire time, trying to mirror what he's going to have to do in real time next week.
This guy is a train wreck. He is having to practice with mock debates, standing up for 90 minutes. Depending on when you're watching this was the day before I made this video, Trump did 2 rallies. He did a rally in Washington, and then he did another rally in Philadelphia. He spoke both times for over 90 minutes. All the time he goes on his rallies, he speaks for 90 minutes. It's a shame that the current president has to basically practice being on his feet for 90 minutes. You know why? Because he's never done it. He can't do it. We're going to see something on Thursday where he's going to be pumped up on Mountain Dew trying to get through it. But in any event, he's having to practice it because he's not really fluent in standing on his feet for 90 minutes. God help us.
Now, sources close to the campaign tell me that they believe that Trump is going to be a more disciplined version of himself. However, the president is preparing for all of the different scenarios, but they do think that Trump is preparing more than he's letting on. And of course, Phil, Trump is preparing in a very different way by...
He's preparing more than he's letting on. Trump's not hunkered down for a week in a bunker. He's not doing that. He did 2 rallies yesterday. So today is Sunday. Between now and Thursday is the debate. So he's probably going to go over some things and have some strategy so he knows what's going on. Basically how to combat the 3 people he's going to have to fight against. The 3 people: Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, and, of course, Dementia Joe.
Having these informal meetings with his advisors and allies to try and prepare.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very different debate. This part of it fascinates me because I've often said, just as an American watching debates, they should just clip the mic so that we can get on with this. And it seems microphones will be muted throughout the debate except for the candidate whose turn it is to speak. It's come to that.
Wait till you see how much they go ahead and mute Trump's mic. Trump should just say what he wants to say over the mic and let it feed into his mic. But then again, let Dementia Joe have to talk. Let him have to speak. And just wait. He's going to tie himself up. He's going to forget something. He's going to say the wrong thing. He's going to babble. And of course, he's going to lie.
It's a big change. You'll remember Donald Trump was repeatedly chastised by the moderator of the first debate in 2020 for repeated interruptions. And he's not the only one. You know, when you have a debate stage filled with people, there'll only be 2 there this time, they talk over each other. So how are these changes going to affect both of the men this time around?
Yeah, Phil, I mean, this is going to look completely different. To your point, with these mics being muted except for when the candidates are supposed to speak, that means you're not going to have those fiery interruption and those moments that turn into memes and viral moments.
They hate memes and viral moments. Remember, they're all cheap fakes. They're memes and viral moments because people care. They want to see that kind of passion. They don't want to have this deadpan stuff that you're going to throw out to us on Thursday.
Moments that are shared and clipped and watched millions and millions of times after the debate. The point here is that they don't want this to devolve into a shouting match. They want this to be focused on the actual issues.
No, they won't. Watch on Thursday. This is has nothing to do with the issues. This is about controlling the message on CNN. Watch what happens.
The other big change, of course, is the fact that there's no studio audience. So that means that neither Biden nor Trump can really feed off of the energy there. So it's really just going to look completely different from what we've seen before. But the Biden team, they believe that these rules do work in their advantage because it's...
Of course they work in their advantage. Why would they need to tell someone, a reporter, hey, I think these rules work in our advantage? You don't think we know that as well? Do you not think that this wasn't done in a vacuum, that Dementia Joe and CNN got together and they figured out how best we can basically handle Trump, make it easier for Dementia Joe to be able to talk? They want it quiet because this guy would get completely discombobulated if he was having to listen and hear the different stimuli from an actual crowd, because as we've seen at his rallies, there are no crowds. There's nobody there. At press conferences, when he has one, they usher people out when it gets too loud. He sits there and goes like this. They need it quiet. You all know why.
Going to force Trump to talk about actual policy, and they believe that is going to highlight to the American people what they see as his very extreme positions.
What's extreme about lower gas prices? What's extreme about getting rid of newcomers? What's extreme about basically anything he talks about. It's what the American people want. Go down the top 5 list. That's what Trump wants. That's what Trump's going to do. That's why he's leading in the polls. How is that extreme? So you're going to try and make what he's talking about extreme. Giving no taxes on tips, that's extreme. Getting rid of these newcomers that are causing these problems in the cities, that's extreme. Maybe you need to get out more. And I'm talking about Dementia Joe, not this lady reporting it.
The earliest presidential debate I think we've ever seen. And that's probably good for the electorate this time around. Why did the Biden team want this matchup so early?
Yeah, I mean, Phil, for the Biden team, they think the earlier the better, because they believe that a lot of Americans, especially those swing voters, those independent, undecided voters that they really need to reach, they think they just haven't really been paying attention. So they want to, early in this cycle.
If the voters weren't paying attention, why did Karine Jean-Pierre have to come out and tell everybody that there's all kinds of fakey videos going out there? If nobody's watching, it wouldn't matter, right? Nobody's seeing these videos. They're being spread across social media. Why did you have to form a task force? Your little old ministry of truth that you wanted before that people found out about, now you're trying to usher it back in again. Why are you trying to tamp down conversation on social media? Why are you trying to get YouTube to stop people like me and others from talking about it? If you don't think people have seen it, if you don't think people have heard about it, what are you worried about? I don't understand. It should be no big deal, right? Wrong.
Draw the contrast and hammer home to people that this is a choice. It is Biden versus Trump. And they believe this will show that Trump is unfit for office.
How are you in a debate going to show that Trump is unfit for office? How are they possibly going to do that? Well, I can tell you how. It's a scam. This entire thing is BS. It's a scam. It's the royal scam. It's the grand illusion. I'm sorry I'm doing my musical references from the 70s, but this is all BS. It's a show. None of it is real. They can't talk about reality. All they can do is talk about the show and this ambush that Trump is walking into.
And they also tell me that sources close to the Biden team involved in this preparation, they tell me that they think a lot of the most extreme and dangerous rhetoric that Trump has used actually hasn't really sunk in with the American people, or they've forgotten.
Because it's not dangerous. You notice how they just fluently say these things. They're trying to influence you. They're trying to tell you that this has been dangerous rhetoric that Trump's been talking about. Dangerous to who? If he's up in the polls, if more than 50% of people want to hear what Trump has to say, if his rallies are packed, if there's people lined up outside to get in these rallies, who is this stuff dangerous to? How is it dangerous paying less gas prices? How is it dangerous paying less grocery prices? How is it dangerous not spending $1 gazillion on another country? How is it less dangerous getting rid of the newcomers? How is it dangerous in any way, shape, or form for people to be able to live good, prosperous lives with less taxation? How is that dangerous? I would love to ask those questions.
So they want to use this as a chance to remind the American people, Phil.
This is absurd. We all know that Trump is walking into an ambush.
Trump is going into what I believe, and you can disagree with me if you want, a 3-on-1 situation. The rules are certainly in Biden's favor. They're going to mute his mic. They'll probably interrupt him every time he speaks. What advice would you give the president? Trump is going into what I believe, and you can disagree with me if you want, a 3-on-1 situation. The rules are certainly in Biden's favor. They're going to mute his mic. They'll probably interrupt him every time he speaks. What advice would you give the president? And do you think that out of my mind when I say that we should probably expect the return of Jacked Up Joe, the guy that we saw at the State of the Union?
I don't think we all know it. We all know that's what's about to happen. But I like what Vivek says here, so I'm not going to interrupt here. I'm going to let you listen to what Vivek says.
I think that's crazy to think at all. I do think a drug test is fair game. The American people deserve transparency. There was cocaine found in the White House earlier this year, after all. And I'm only saying that half jokingly, Sean. The reality is this going to be a fair fight? Of course it's not. The reality is this going to be 3-on-1? It is. I think the American people can see through that. So up there, is it going to be a little bit uncomfortable when you have the two moderators as though they're just debating with you from CNN, after all, along with Joe Biden on the stage? Yes, it will. But my advice to President Trump, and I'm fully confident that he's prepared to execute on it, is to just be himself. Be honest with the American people who now see through those mainstream media tricks. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Americans understand that, and they're not about to be fooled again. And so the reality is, if he's calm, collected, stays true to his message of why he's in this for the second term, why he's making the sacrifices that he is to come back and even make that second term more successful than that successful first term, then I think things are going to go just fine. What I worry about, Sean, is that Joe Biden might go the other direction and tank completely, which means that the Democrats might get what many in their party are rooting for, which is a replacement of Biden altogether. But either way, I think Donald Trump is going to show the American people who he is and that he cares about uniting this country.
Absolutely. We all know he's walking into an ambush. So you have to ask yourself, Trump isn't a stupid guy. Why would he be doing it? To me, that's what I see as the expected outcome of this debate. It's likely that this clown show of a debate with Jake Tapper and Dana Bash and CNN and being hunkered down for a week, it's all a clown show that's going to backfire on the Democrats. And I don't think the media is prepared for it either. We all know that tens of millions of people are going to be watching this debate, and the efforts that they do to ambush Trump are going to be futile, and their spin is going to be futile. If Joe doesn't mumble his way through this debate and he's able to stand for 90 minutes, all of the media outlets, probably including Fox, are going to say that Dementia Joe won. But unfortunately, tens of millions of people will see this debate for what it is. And tens of millions of people have already seen enough from Dementia Joe. Like I said, they wouldn't have had to go nuts about cheap fakes if it weren't for the case that we've seen what Dementia Joe is all about. We can see what his condition has been. So when they put up the AI-induced, juiced-up version of Dementia Joe on the stage Thursday night, we're all going to recognize it. So right now, they're already running interference for Dementia Joe.
Republicans should control their high hopes here, because I think Biden has performed at big events like States of the Union. They give him his debate Viagra, and he's good for, a good 30 minutes. If he's still debating after 4 hours, we'll have to call the doctors.
Is anybody going to watch the debate? He's going to be so pumped up. He's going to be pumped up. You know all that stuff that was missing about a month ago from the White House? What happened? Who left it? Somebody left it there. I wonder, let's see, somebody left a laptop in an office of a gentleman who was supposed to fix the laptop from hell. He never picked it up, and somebody didn't pick up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cocaine. I wonder who that could have been. I don't know. Actually, I think it was Joe.
I can't even believe I have to fact check that one, I guess, if that's what you're calling it, but
they're having to fact check jokes at this point. That's how bad, that's how much. This is CNN. This is Caitlin Collins on CNN having to fact check a joke. A joke. That's how bad it is. We can't even have you listening to jokes about Dementia Joe. Everybody knows he's going to be juiced up. There is no secret to it. We've all seen him, and now they're going to the extreme of having to fact check jokes. Don't joke about Joe.
it was not President Biden.
What's happened in the last few months is convicted felon, more extreme statements even than ever before. I mean, this cocaine example, this is normal now for Donald Trump to throw anything out there.
Why can't you tell a joke? Why is a joke off limits? Oh, that's right, when it's about Dementia Joe.
And in the last week or so, we have seen them really try to shift expectations, even going so far as to suggest that the current president of the United States might be on performance-enhancing drugs because they're concerned that when their audience has been led to believe that he is, in fact, all of the things I just referenced shows up and is the Joe Biden we saw at the State of the Union, that, they're going to fritz out. And so I wonder what you make of this sort of resetting of expectations in the lead up to this debate.
Yeah, I mean, what I make of it is that Trump and his campaign know they have absolutely nothing to offer the American people with which they would agree. So they resort to nonsense like this.
Trump on stage suggesting that President Biden will be on cocaine. To back up the point I'll make here.
They take everything so literally because they have to. They can't They can't take the chance that you might use your brain and understand that it was a joke. So they have to make sure you understand he's lying. It's not a joke. He was lying.
This individual, this candidate, this convicted felon plays dirty. He plays ugly. He's done it many times in the past. We could spend the next 3.5 hours listing his lies. We wouldn't get through them. He lies like a rug.
He lies like a rug. Maybe we should go back and play some of the tapes from MSNBC. She doesn't really understand or remember what she and her cohort, Joe Scarborough, have said. It's amazing how much cover they have to do for Joe. They don't want you even understanding that people are joking about him. He is the butt of jokes. Stop the deep fakes. Stop the cheap fakes. We got to hire the Ministry of Truth to stop everyone on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter from talking about what we can actually see and what we can hear. And therein lies their big problem. Get ready for a great show on Thursday night. The grand illusion that you're about to see is basically the media trying to convince you that everything you've seen before Thursday is an illusion and that Joe is absolutely fine. The problem they have is that there's this thing called Friday. And Friday, that's when your reality will set back in. When you get ready to go to work, the gas is still going to be expensive. When you get ready to go to lunch, the food prices are still going to be high. Then on Saturday, when the family goes to the grocery store, you're going to have to make some life decisions. And as July 1st rolls around, then you still got to pay your high rent and your high mortgage. All of what I just said is 100% real. That's not a show. No matter what the media says about Dementia Joe, the reality of your life will trump, pun intended, what you see on Thursday night. You are your own fact checker. And I believe that's what Trump's message should be. Your reality trumps what they can do on Thursday night. And that's why I think Trump even agreed to the debate. If things are so far gone with the Dementia Joe administration, they can't fake it anymore. So ignore the show and vote your reality. That's what I would tell people, because that is something they can't do anything about. But that is the decision people are going to have to make, and I think people are making in a big way every single day as they move towards Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's rhetoric and even his sort of swagger looks more like 2016. The Donald Trump in Detroit and those events he did, he was oddly loose. He was trying to be funny and all of this, where from about 2017 to 2022, we had, and even 2023 through the primaries, it's been nothing but angry grievance Trump, right? Angry, angry, angry. It's interesting if he somehow drops the grievance, he could end up looking more like that 2016 candidate where he's the outside disruptor.
Hey, listen, the big debate between Dementia Joe and Trump is scheduled for June 27th, if it happens. And I'll be broadcasting it live, and I want you to join me. If you've watched any of my live broadcasts, you know we have a ton of fun. 300,000 people tuned in to see my live broadcast of the Las Vegas rally, and I gave away a fabulous trip. So be sure to join me for the big debate. It will be undoubtedly a lot of fun, and who knows, you might win something. Just click here to register to be notified as soon as I go live. Thanks, and talk to you soon. Hope to see you at the debate.